Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'd just like to demo off a little bit of a cool thing that you can do on your S8 and many other devices, is of course dual boot custom ROMs. So currently I'm running the Renovate Ice 114 revision, which is one of their betas and nightlies, I should say. And pretty much there's a dual booter thing that you can use on your S8 here. So this is great for people who want to use more than one ROM, I guess not at the same time, but without wiping anything. So this is fantastic for people who want to try out ROMs, and it just so happens that recently we've actually had a release of Resurrection Remix and Lineage OS for the S8 and S8 Plus. So you can use this in fact to dual boot pretty much like Resurrection Remix and a stock Samsung ROM. So I haven't tested any ROMs that use the AROMA installer, but I can do that a little bit later on in this video anyways. So first off, you're going to need to download a few things, and obviously you're going to need a rooted ROM, a custom recovery, and of course the files, the dual booting stuff that we need to download as well. So over to this XEA thread, there are some instructions here, but I'll pretty much do that in this video, although you should actually have a look at this thread and read through it all, just so you know what you're doing. You can be comfortable with what you're doing here. So this is also quite interesting. Alrighty, so let's get started. So pretty much the downloads are in here and on the official web page of the dual boot patcher. So you can click on that download link there. So that'll bring you to this page. Just download the latest one. You can see they are pretty quick at doing these. So basically I'm going to download the latest one. This one was done on the 14th, so about 5 days ago. Basically you want to download all three of these if you want, and basically the Win32 file here is for your computer, and that allows you to patch ROMs and other files on your computer without having to use your phone to do so. So if you would like to do things on your computer, or you have ROMs already on your computer, you can definitely download that as well. So I'm going to download all three and just save them to my delicious Android folder. So you should download all three, the utilities as well. This is very important to have on your phone, so you can switch ROMs even though you're not in a ROM and you don't have access to the Android app. So you can do that as well. So download all of these, and of course the Win32 dual boot patcher as well. Now this is taking a while for me. That's because I have the Australian internet, famous for being slow. So I'm going to go ahead and use the ones that I already have, which should be no problem. So just going to open the folder here, and for example you're going to download this, the APK. You're going to want to sideload that or copy it to your phone and install it. You want to install the APK inside the dual boot utilities. You want to copy that whole zip because it is just something that you can use in TWRP. You want to copy the entire dual boot utility zip to your phone, just anywhere. The APK and the app you install will look like that, same as the logo. You're going to open that up and it's going to be great. It's going to look like this. You want to slide open and go to your ROMs page. Should allow access to storage and also grant it access to root. Once that is done and you get this prompt here to set the kernel pretty much, you do want to do this now. So tap on set now and that is going to do it for you. You can see that we've got our primary ROM available, and you can do whatever you like to the ROM as well. When you tap on it, you switch it. When you press the three dots, you get to access a little menu there. So this is pretty much stuff about your ROM, where it's installed to and all that. And one cool thing that you need to check out is your free space. Now this is where, or the places that you can install your ROM. So I'm going to choose the data partition. You can see I have 26 gigs free, so I'm going to use that. Oops. Basically, to patch any zip files on your phone, of course, you slide up in the menu and you click on patch zip file, press the plus, and then select flashable zip. Now when selecting a zip file, I recommend that, or you can use any activity to do it, but when you choose a zip file for flashing, you need to choose the Documents UI to do that. So I'm going to use my File Explorer to locate a zip to let them patch, so that will be Lineage. And here are the same options that were presented, same as the one on the desktop. So this is for our device here, the Dream 2 LTE, and our partition configuration. I want to put it in the data slot. Enter an ID, so this is just so you can have multiple ROMs on the data slot. Just make the ID something that you can remember and it's obvious to you what it is, and tap on continue. and choose the place to save it. I'm just going to save it on my internal SD slot or my internal storage. Once you've added everything you want to patch, say for example you want to patch Google Apps as well, you do the exact same thing. Press the plus, locate flashable zip, use any activity to locate the zip. Maybe I'm going to do the open gaps zip here. I'm going to select data slot for the partition configuration, and I'm going to install it to the same data slot, or ID at least. So I'm going to type in the same one and hit continue, and then select a place to save it. And then once you're done, press the tick button up there, and this is going to patch your zip files. Once all these are done, we can go ahead and flash them. So to flash a zip file, you can use the built-in flasher, or you can go into TWRP and do it. So to flash something from the app without having to go into TWRP, go to the ROMs menu and then tap on this little button down here with the in-app flashing. Add the zip that you want to flash, so that will be the patch file, and make sure you select the documents UI to handle opening the file. And I'm going to scroll down and find the patched one, which was built just then. So this one, take a look at the time and all that. Now if your phone decides to open the zip file instead of selecting it, you can go back, tap and hold on the zip file, and then tap on open in the top right corner. Once it's done, you can keep the location if you want to save it to where it's been originally patched for. So in this case, the data slot called lineage. Otherwise, you can change the location again. But I'm going to keep the location because it's correct. And I'm going to press the tick, and it's going to flash the file right here. So since there's no progress bar, you just want to wait until it finishes. And if you get any errors, have a look if you have enough free space to actually install the ROM. And also try patching the ROM again, or alternatively try flashing it in TWRP. So I'm going to fast forward this until it finishes flashing the system image, and then we're going to boot into TWRP, and I'll show you how to flash the zip in TWRP. Okay, so you can see that one action has been attempted and one action succeeded. So we can see the flash file worked properly. If we hit back, you should see lineage here installed on the data slot. And when you tap on it, it will set the ROM to reboot. But before you reboot anything, you also want to update the RAM disk, just in case. And this should also go for anytime you change the boot image for a particular ROM on whatever slot, you also want to update the RAM disk. Otherwise, your phone might not be able to boot into that new ROM. But luckily, since you have the dual boot utilities and all that, you'll be fine. So it's updated the RAM disk. We can reboot later. And we can also go to our lineage ROM and also update the RAM disk on there. Now, one more thing before we reboot is also to install the MB tool on our phones. So this allows us a kind of TWRP styled menu for, I guess, accessing these options here, which is really good. So you can pretty much have that dual booting menu every time you reboot, or only change through the app. So to do that, I'm going to set the kernel here, go back and make sure the ROM is switched once again. And then after that, I'm going to reboot into TWRP to flash the Google Apps, and I'll also show you how to flash the MB tool. So that stands for MultiBoot tool, I suppose. So go to settings, and then you can see boot UI. Now, I think MB tool, I was a little bit confused there, but it's actually what I'm supposed to say is boot UI. And once you tap on install, basically it also asks you to update all the RAM disks of your ROMs. So we'll just do that again, just to be safe. Not set kernel, update RAM disk, and pretty much that installs a interface, like I've been saying, for when your phone reboots, you'll be able to use it or change ROMs and do other actions when your phone restarts. So we're going to see that later. I'm going to just update the RAM disk on this again. And then after that, we're going to reboot into TWRP and flash the Google Apps that we've patched. Cool. So let's restart our phone into recovery. This is optional, of course, if you don't want to do it in recovery. As for root access, I believe only Super SU is compatible at this point, mainly because it can be installed to the system, but you can also do it on maybe systemless. I haven't had time to test it out yet, but I'm sure that'll be quite interesting to see. So once we're in TWRP, you want to locate your patched zip file, which is just in the internal storage for me. So here's our open gaps, and we're just going to swipe to flash, and you can see the MultiBoot items here, and we are still going to do that. Alrighty, so everything's finished now, and we can go back, and we can actually see the boot UI in action now. When we tap on reboot and reboot system, you'll see this menu come up, and I'll press cancel on the menu so you can see what it looks like. Yep, I'm gonna hit cancel. So from here you can actually switch a ROM, or maybe even change some settings if you want, like vibration and brightness. But if you switch ROM, you can select which ROM you want to switch to and swipe there and then reboot into your new ROM. But I'm just going to reboot into Lineage, and you can see it boot up, and then I'm going to reboot it back into my Renovate Ice ROM. So I'm going to let this count down. You can see that what it's going to auto boot into at the top there as well. And hopefully this works out for you in the first boot. If not, you can try to do a few combination of things, like I guess wiping the ROM and just flashing it again, or just flashing the ROM again. Of course, these are all the patch to zip files, and you'll need to do that within the app, I believe. So you want to go into TWRP and use the dual boot or dual patcher utilities and flash that zip. Well, that pretty much just allows you to pretty much change the boot, and also I think it allows you to wipe things. We'll have a look a little bit later as well. Otherwise, you can use the boot UI to boot back into your primary ROM and control your secondary from there as well. So I'm going to try let this boot up, see if it works fine. It usually does, I guess, start up quite quickly, but we'll wait and see. And you can see that we are pretty much in. Can we still skip the install wizard? No, okay. So I'm going to reboot my phone now, and we'll take a look at the dual boot patcher utilities. So I'm going to restart and hold buttons to get in. I hope it's volume up. Okay, so we're just going to reboot into TWRP. Here we are. And we'll have a look at the utilities. I do have them somewhere, so I should have made sure that they're on my phone before doing this. Okay, there we are. So the dual boot utilities, when you flash it, it just opens up an AROMA interface where you can actually change a few things. So here we can change our ROMs and also reboot our phone. So this is also if you don't want to install boot UI on your phone to get that, dual booting sequence every time you restart your phone. Otherwise, you can just use the dual boot utilities in your phone. So for example, I want to go back to my primary here. You can also wipe it, but I'm going to tap switch to. So this looks like it's alright. I'm going to hit next, finish, and then just leave here. So quit installation. You can hit the middle button between the back and the next, and tap on this again. Here we are. And I'm going to reboot the system, and this should auto boot us back into my primary ROM. Now of course you can try other ROMs, and you can probably install more than one ROM as long as you have enough space for it. And this is quite evident in where you can install like heaps of things into the data partition, which is great. So I'm going to let this boot up, and rebooting between ROMs is actually quite quick. So yeah, if you have any issues doing this, feel free to leave a comment down below. I can try to help you out as much as possible. But I didn't make this, and I'm sure there are a lot of people smarter than me out there. So I'd also recommend that you leave a message on the XDA thread that I'll provide a link to down below, and also maybe one of those Telegram or WhatsApp groups that people like to join. So here I am back into my primary ROM, and you can see that nothing is broken and it still works. And of course our dual boot patcher is still working here with all the ROMs here. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. And last but not least, you can open up your Win32.7z file, and that will include applications for you to patch your ROM. So if I just give that a quick demo, if I run the dual boot patcher executable here, it's going to open up, and from here I can select my device from the official list. So I'm going to find Dream2 LTE. This one should match your build prop name. If not, then you can either change it on your phone, or you can change it from the zip after patching. It doesn't really matter, but I'm not going to deal with people running the Note 8 port or the Note 8 ROM that has the build prop ID changed to the one or one that matches the Note 8. So find the one that matches your phone. Obviously I have the S8 Plus, and where you're going to install to is probably perhaps the data slot. And you enter an ID. Now this is going to be the name of your ROM that you want to do so. For example, if it's lineage, I'm going to type in lineage, and then I'm going to choose a file, flashable zip, and this is where I find my ROM that I want to patch. And I can see here there's also already one that's kind of patched for me. But you select the zip and then you click on start patching, and this is going to patch all your files. But say you don't need to do this on your computer even, you can go on your phone, which is where you need to be doing most of this anyways. So you can see that's successfully patched, and if I go over to where the ROM is, you're going to see it labeled differently. There we are. So you can see how it's going to be installed in the data slot. You can also install it to the external SD card, the system partition and all that, but just make sure you have enough space. So I think most of what we're going to do now is going to be on our phone. So let's switch over. Hopefully that looks alright. So basically